Welcome. This is Everyday Paradoxes Tiny Truths About Becoming, a 16-part audio series based on my book. These are reflections on the quiet contradictions that shape our growth. I'm Leslie DeMello. In each episode, we'll sit with one small truth from ordinary life, where psychology meets contemplation and insight becomes practice. Let's begin. Chapter 8. You don't have to heal to be whole. And today's event will be a slower paced event. We will be focusing on self acceptance, tenderness, and we will be looking at this illusion of fixed. Fixed in terms of talking about getting fixed. Let's just take a moment to ground ourselves. Take a slow breath in. Let it out gently. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw soften. And let yourself arrive without performing calm or clarity. You don't need to feel centered. You don't need to feel grounded. You don't need to feel healed. You don't need to feel ready. Just being here. Just being here is enough. And this event, it's not about fixing yourself. It's not about becoming better or becoming more evolved. And it's not about finally getting it right. This event is more about releasing a quiet pressure that many of us have been living under. The pressure that says, once I heal, then I'll live. And we'll explore a gentler truth. You don't have to heal to be whole. Before we move on, I'd like to invite you to two questions. And these are not questions to answer quickly, and neither are they questions to answer correctly. And they are definitely not questions that you should answer the way you think you should. They are not intellectual questions. Think of them as listening questions. So, for the moment, let your mind stay soft. Let the body stay settled. And notice what these words mean to you, not in theory, but in your own experience. The first question: what does healing mean to you? What does healing mean to you? When you think of the word healing, what do you imagine? Some of us may imagine an ending to something, or a repair, or the return to who you used to be, or the sense of finally being okay. And maybe some of us experience this word healing as a process, or as a relationship, or even as something that's gentle and seems to be ongoing, seems to be something ongoing in our life. And simply notice what comes up. Notice what comes up, not what we've been taught to believe. Because many of us have been taught to believe that certain words mean a certain thing. Simply notice what comes up, what feels true for you. Let's take a few seconds just to sit with that. What does healing mean to me? And I'll drop in the next question. What does wholeness mean to you? Consider that word, wholeness. Does it mean being pain free, without pain, or being confident, or being calm and regulated all the time? It could also mean being allowed to be human, being allowed to be human, being able to hold both joy and grief together, or belonging to yourself even on difficult days. The word wholeness. And it's simply about noticing how your system responds when you hear the word whole. And if it feels supportive, you might want to write down a phrase or maybe a few words. Not to define anything perfectly, just to capture what these words mean to you right now. Healing, wholeness. And you can always return to these questions later. You may notice that maybe when you return to them after a week, the answer may have changed, or after a month, the answer may have changed. And that too is a part of healing. Many a times, healing is not about finding better answers. It's about asking kinder questions. Over the years, I've noticed how many thoughtful and many self aware people are living in what I think of as the invisible room. And I should know because I have lived in a similar invisible room for most of my life. And this invisible room, it's not dramatic, it's subtle. What this invisible room sounds like. I'll start dating when I feel most secure. I'll rest when I'm less anxious. I'll share my work once I feel confident enough. I'll let myself be happy when I'm not carrying so much weight. And so we wait. We wait in that invisible room. Life keeps moving, relationships form, opportunities pass, moments come, moments go, and we tell ourselves, not yet. There was this person who kept saying, I'll really start living when I'm ready. I'll really start living once I'm ready. And one day someone asked that person, what does ready actually mean to you? And they paused and said, when I don't feel afraid, when I'm not confused, when I'm not uncertain anymore. And thinking about that, not critically, but just reflecting on that. When by the time we don't feel afraid, we don't feel confused, or we don't feel uncertain anymore, life would have already passed us by. Because fear, confusion, uncertainty, these are not signs that we are failing at life. These are signs that we are alive. These are signs that we are actually living life. And there's this quiet belief that we carry. The belief is, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. How many of you all are carrying this belief? I used to carry this belief. In some ways, I still carry this belief. It is still there somewhere in my subconscious. It keeps popping up every now and again. And if I stop checking myself regularly, I will succumb to that belief again. This belief, I'm not ready yet. It shows up everywhere. It shows up quietly, but it shows up everywhere. It shows up when we cancel our plans because we don't have that emotional energy to be on. Or we keep ourselves small at work because we are still working through that self doubt. We avoid intimacy because we don't want to bring our unfinished parts into a relationship. Or we keep postponing rest, joy, celebration because we feel that we haven't earned it yet. How many of y'all relate to these? Underneath all of this behavior, there's this quiet message. And that message is something deep in our subconscious telling us that something about us is not ready yet. And we need to be careful of this message because we say it to ourselves like as if it is something, or rather as if it sounds like something responsible. This message sounds responsible. It also sounds self aware. It sounds so self aware that we don't even question it. And this message, I'm not ready yet. Something about me isn't okay yet. What does this do? It turns healing into pressure because now we are focused on working on something. We are focused on trying to fix an aspect of ourselves. It turns growth into self monitoring because I need to start monitoring. Am I making progress in this? How far along has my victory over self doubt reached? And it turns simply being human, it becomes a problem that we are trying to solve. We have all been here. Some of us are still here. And it's important to remind ourselves that nothing is wrong with us. This belief develops out of a survival strategy, a way to stay safe, a way to stay accepted. And in some way, it also helps us stay in control. Let's pause for a bit and soften this. Healing was never meant to be a prerequisite for living. We were never meant to earn our way into worthiness. We don't need to resolve every wound before we can love. We don't need to understand everything before we can rest. And we don't need to be less sensitive or less emotional to belong. We are not behind, we are not late, and we are not unfinished in the way that we have been taught to believe. Healing doesn't make us worthy. Our worth is what allows healing to unfold. Healing doesn't make us worthy. Our worth is what allows healing to unfold. And often the most healing things, the most healing thing is simply allowing ourselves to stop trying so hard. That can be the most healing thing for us. To stop trying so hard. There was someone who kept attending every self improvement workshop they would find. So for the month, they would be attending something on mindfulness. For the month, they would be doing inner child work. For the month, they would be doing healing trauma. And someone asked them, half jokingly, has it helped? Has it helped doing all these courses, doing all these retreats? And they sighed and said, yes, I now know exactly what are the things that are wrong with me. And sometimes that can be the trap. Because healing starts to become another way to monitor ourselves, to measure our progress, to feel guilty because we are still struggling. But real healing doesn't work by erasing the pain. It works by including it. We live in this culture that loves those transformational stories. We love those underdog stories, those transformational stories, before and after. That's what we see on it. That's what we see on social media, right? Before and after, broken and healed. Those are the testimonials we hear. Broken, healed, messy, resolved. But real healing very rarely looks like that. Healing doesn't erase pain. Healing doesn't tidy everything up. Healing definitely doesn't turn you into someone else. It doesn't make you someone else. But instead, healing looks like learning how to sit with discomfort without turning against yourself. Sitting in discomfort without turning against yourself. In psychology, we call this integration. Allowing all the parts of us to belong, even those parts that hurt. Integration. Because what we reject does not get healed. The parts of us that feel anxious, that feel sensitive, that feel unsure, these are not evidence that you're doing healing wrong. They are simply the parts that learned how to protect us. The Japanese art of Kintsugi, repairing broken pottery with gold. So for those who are not familiar with Kintsugi, it's a Japanese art. If any of their pottery breaks, they don't discard it. They glue it back together, but the glue contains gold in it. So once they are done fixing that whole piece of pottery back with the glue, what they end up with is something that's more beautiful than the original product. In Kintsugi, the cracks are not hidden, they get illuminated. The bowl doesn't become valuable after it is repaired, but rather it becomes meaningful because it broke. And that's healing. It's not going back to who you were before life cracked you open, but becoming someone deeper because of what you lived through. Your experience is what makes you. Your experience, our experience is what makes us more valuable. The gold isn't the fixing. The gold is the tenderness that we learned, the compassion, the boundaries, the wisdom. That's the gold. Wholeness. Wholeness looks far more ordinary than what we expect. To me, wholeness looks like laughing with friends while still carrying on that bit of grief, or showing up even when that self doubt is there. Loving someone, opening up myself to someone, and allowing myself to still be afraid of that loss. Or having a bad day without turning it into a story about failure. Wholeness to me also looks like needing reassurance while still being worthy of respect, while still holding myself worthy of respect. There was this person who refused to invite people to their house because their roof leaked. And they always said to themselves that I'll invite people over once it's fixed. And years passed. The roof still leaked. The house stayed empty. One day, someone came anyway. One of his friends came anyway and said, yes, the roof leaks, but the tea is warm and I'm glad to be here. Wholeness doesn't mean that nothing leaks. It means that life is still happening underneath. So, question that I would put out: where in your life are you waiting to be more healed before you allow yourself to live? If you have your journal with you, take a moment to journal this down, or you can just reflect on this question in your mind. Where in your life are you waiting to be more healed before you allow yourself to live? And you can reflect on this on any level, whether you want to reflect on this on a physical level. Maybe it is real pain that you're dealing with. And sometimes our head is so wrapped up, we get so wrapped up in the pain that we don't allow ourselves to live. It can be an emotional healing where we have been hurt emotionally and we are waiting to be more healed before we open ourselves to others. Maybe we are working with our self confidence. Maybe we are looking for more healing in terms of our self confidence before we come out into the world. What are you postponing? Are you postponing joy? Are you postponing connection? Are you postponing rest? Are you postponing expression? Just take a moment to capture that. And now let's do a small exercise, a very short exercise. And this exercise is about self-acceptance in the body. So place one hand on your chest, place the other on your belly. One hand on your chest, the other on your belly, and feel your breath. Feel your breath. And now say to yourself silently without forcing belief. Say to yourself silently without forcing belief. Even here, I belong. Even here, I belong. Even here, I belong. And there's a possibility that resistance may arise. And that's okay, because resistance also belongs. And as you're doing this, notice if anything softens. Notice if anything softens, even slightly. And that's the exercise. Simply trying to cultivate that self acceptance in our body. The next prompt that I will put out: what part of me have I been trying to fix instead of listen to? Just take a moment to reflect on this, or you can note down the question and spend some time later in the day reflecting on it. Because this is what we tend to do a lot of times, right? Because sometimes we are feeling anxious, but instead of sitting with that anxiety, instead of trying to understand what that anxiety is about, we try to fix it. How do we fix it? We go for distractions. Maybe we'll sit and watch television. Maybe we will go have a drink. We distract ourselves. So what part of me have I been trying to fix instead of listen to? Many of us have this experience of fear, and we do the same thing. We distract ourselves, so we try to run away from it. We never sit to listen to it. And I think some time back I gave the example of the Monday blues. The Monday blues. And essentially we do the same thing. Instead of trying to understand what the Monday blues are about, we distract ourselves. We try to fix it. We don't listen to it. And that part that we've been trying to fix, what might that part need instead? And sometimes it can be as simple as the part just needs to be listened to, just needs to be understood, just needs to be heard. And then there's this thing called the healing trap. The healing trap. When growth starts to become pressure. Because sometimes healing becomes another goal to achieve. It becomes another goal to achieve. We start to track our progress. How well am I healing? We judge our setbacks. We judge our setbacks. And the worst of all, we feel guilty because we find ourselves still struggling. There was this man who once asked their therapist, how long will it take before I'm completely healed? How long will it take before I'm completely healed? And the therapist smiled back to him and said, completely healed people don't come to therapy. And the client looked horrified. And the therapist added gently, neither do they come fully to life. Neither do they come fully to life. So healing is not about becoming flawless. It's about becoming available. Available to yourself. Some days we feel grounded. Some days we feel raw. And both these sides of us are healing. Both are part of healing. So let's go now into a guided meditation. And I've titled this meditation Resting in Wholeness. If it is safe to do so and you are comfortable doing so, you may close your eyes. And let your hands rest wherever you want them to rest. Let your hands rest wherever they want to rest. You don't need to place them deliberately. Take a slow breath in through your nose and an even slower breath out through your mouth. Once more, in through your nose and out through your mouth. There's nothing to achieve here, nothing to fix, nothing to understand. You are not arriving anywhere. You are settling into where you already are. Bring your attention to the weight of your body. Bring your attention to the weight of your body. Feel how the surface that you're resting on is supporting you. How gravity is doing the work so you don't have to. Notice how often in life you're holding yourself together. And for these few moments, let the ground do that for you. Let the ground hold you. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw loosen. Let your belly soften. And if your body doesn't soften right away, that's okay. Even the tension belongs. Now bring your awareness to your breath, not changing it, not deepening it, just noticing. Notice that the inhale arrives on its own. The exhale releases on its own. You don't have to manage this. Breathing knows how to happen. without your effort, just like healing, just like becoming. Now imagine without strain that all the parts of you that feel unfinished are nearby, not inside you, not overwhelming you, they are just present. The anxious part, the grieving part, the part that feels tired of healing, the part that worries you're not doing this right, the part that thinks I should be further along. You don't need to label them precisely, just sense their presence. And notice something important. They are not demanding anything from you. They are simply here. And you are not smaller because of them. You are larger. Now imagine a wide open space inside you. Not a room with walls, not a place you need to visualize clearly, just a sense of spaciousness. In this space, there is room for everything. Nothing needs to leave for you to belong. Notice how this space doesn't tense. It doesn't rush. It doesn't need to heal anything. It simply allows. And as you rest here, let this truth land quietly. You are not the paths that hurt. You are the space that can hold them. You are not the paths that hurt. You are the space that can hold them. Now bring to mind very gently the idea that you are not ready yet. Bring to mind very gently the idea that you are not ready yet. Not as a judgment, but as a familiar story. Try to notice how that story lives in your body. Maybe it tightens the chest. Maybe it pulls the shoulders forward. Or maybe it creates that subtle sense of waiting. Now, without arguing with it, ask softly, what if I didn't need to be ready? What if I didn't need to be ready? And feel what happens in the body when that question is allowed. You're not forcing a new belief. You're letting the body experience a different possibility. What if I didn't need to be ready? And now offer yourself these words not as affirmations, but as invitations. Silently, slowly. I am not broken. I do not need to arrive. I am allowed to live now. Let each phrase settle into the body. If any part of you resists, welcome that too. Even resistance belongs. I am not broken. I do not need to arrive. I am allowed to live now. And notice now without trying to create it. Notice now without trying to create it. Whether there is a subtle sense of okayness, not happiness, not relief, just okay. A quiet steadiness, a sense that nothing essential is missing in this moment. This is wholeness, not perfection, not completion, but the deep, steady truth that you are already enough to be here. Rest for the moment in this wholeness. And slowly begin to notice the room again. Notice the area that you are located in, the sounds, the temperature, the feeling of your body seated. Take a gentle breath in, let it out slowly. And before you open your eyes, let this land. You don't heal into wholeness. You heal from wholeness. You don't become worthy after the work is done. The work unfolds because you are worthy. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. Nothing about you needed fixing just now, and nothing about you does. Nothing about us does. We are already whole, even here, even now. I once heard someone say, I live fully after I heal. And I remember reflecting, healing doesn't give permission to live. Living is what heals. And we don't need to finish healing to love or to rest or to belong. We don't need to chase wholeness. We simply need to remember it. We simply need to remember it. So if you're still in that process of healing, take a breath. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're becoming. We should let ourselves be unfinished. Let ourselves be human. Because maybe we don't need to heal to be whole. Because we probably already are whole. We probably are whole. Thank you for listening. This has been Everyday Paradoxes, Tiny Truths About Becoming. Before you move on, you might sit quietly with these questions. What did I recognize in myself today? Where is this paradox quietly at work in my life? And what is one small shift I'm being invited toward? Becoming rarely announces itself. It unfolds in awareness, in small recognitions, in the gentle courage to see clearly. This series is based on my book Everyday Paradoxes, Tiny Truths About Becoming. It's a reflective guide meant to be read slowly, not for answers, but for insights that deepen with time. You'll find the reflection questions in the description along with details about the book. If this conversation resonated, you're welcome to like, share, or subscribe so these truths can reach others who may need them. Until next time, stay present, stay curious, and keep becoming.